Hello and welcome back, everyone, to the end of the care of Duel Masters for the PlayStation 2 and Rocket Rabbit Commentaries. And in this episode, we're opening with Rebecca's final fight against Jalen at the end of her bracket. And as past Gerdat is mentioning here, King Ambergris' Liquid Peak Bolt Steroid is absolutely amazing. It's what allowed us to beat, well, we got to show off how awesome it was against Jody, right? Yeah, against Jody a couple parts ago, so... but now Jalen is hitting our Brawler Xyler with Spiral Gate, which is fine because it means that it's fine because it means that he isn't building up his own board presence. So we can just play our Brawler Xyler again, and in order to start slowly chipping away at his shields. Except he's going to hit us with another Spiral Gate. No, he's going to bring out King Coral. Good.
See, the beauty of games, unlike Yu-Gi-Oh, that have mana systems, is opportunity cost. That it strikes me that in this game, your development mistakes are a lot more costly in the long run because of the whole gotta block them or I lose thing, versus Magic, where, I mean, yeah, you can get hit early game, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna lose just because you're behind.
To be perfectly honest, the way that aggro ends up working in this game, it does actually make it feel like your early development is significantly more powerful. But if you want to run hyper control, you can. I just don't particularly recommend it unless you're going to run the shield trigger deck specifically. If you run the shield trigger deck specifically, then hyper control is not only a viable thing, but it's so viable that it's arguably the second best deck in this game. Thing is, being the second best deck in this game doesn't really mean all that much, since this game, you know, has, as we've gone over plenty of times, the biggest problem that this game has is its incredibly limited card pool. Like, unlike say Duelist of the Roses or even the actual working Yu-Gi-Oh games like Stairway to the Destined Duel and World Championship 2004, the limited card pool here makes it so that there's really only a couple of decks that you can make for each civilization, and attempting to blend more than two civilizations together is virtually impossible. Whereas in other card games, specifically the Yu-Gi-Oh ones, there are a wide range of decks that you can play with, and most of them will even actually work for a majority of the campaign, if not against other players.
Yeah, I remember when Gemini Elf was playable, and I used to get wicked excited when I got her and Vorse Raider in my main build.
But now you'll get to see that Jaden is only going to deal 2 points of damage to us, whereas we're just going to win, so. But he had Crystal Lancer, he could have played Crystal Lancer, and he chose not to. The biggest regret that I have through this entire playthrough is that the one monster that I really wanted to show off never gets to see play, because Jalen never plays it and Rebecca doesn't get it through her campaign naturally.
Sounds like a deck design consideration. Yeah, I like this card, but I've been winning the game without it, so fuck it.
Kinda, sorta. Crystal Lancer is just objectively the best fucking monster in this game. Unblockable it's an unblockable 6-drop that well, as an unblockable 6-drop specific with Double Breaker, with Evolution on it as well. So it's very, very easy to chain Aqua Jolter into Crystal Lancer and just win the game off of that. It's kind of nutso. And with that, we have successfully finished up the primary rounds of the 5 Colors tournament. Hey, Dawn Giant.
I am the Dawn Giant.
We have unlocked Night and another cutscene.
Uh-oh.
Then the final round is to you and I, Knight. A final climactic war of
Yes,
titans.
climax.
I don't think so.
You refuse? Victory and the power of the creatures are mine.
I didn't say that. I will not.
I'm really digging this evil character voice.
But one of my students will.
What? Very well then, a token battle to resolve it. Let us duel.
Let us do
And now you get to choose which one of your 5 campaign decks goes up against Lilith. Of course, we picked Rebecca because Rebecca's the one that we actually went through the campaign with. I actually think that Luke does better against Lilith, against the Widow than anyone else. But well, you know, we used Rebecca for starting off the campaign mode, so we're going to use Rebecca to finish off Widow. You'll notice that Widow's deck is primarily a lot of the big darkness creatures, and I'm okay with this because it means that she's extremely vulnerable to aggro strategies, which is what I've been building. All of my decks around. She does have a few smaller creatures like Babelto and Bloody Skeeto, but she rarely gets access to them. So, yeah, from here we're just gonna punch her down with Brawler Xyler and Aqua Jolter.
Well, isn't this just a regular season game with a playoffs rematch? Just too bad her starting quarterback is on the injured list.
Don't think she's ever gonna cast that snake attack either.
See that again? I keep bringing up the ESRB original rating on this game. Why they would play it so close to using the word ass in a game designed for children? They've been using a lot of puns, so it would lead players to believe, like, huh? Well, I know that's the literal word that they're using, but what is the suggested word?
Well, you would think that snake attack is a pun, but it's not. It is very literally empowering your darkness creatures with the powers of snake venom.
Honestly, it reminds me of this comedian who said that it was his mother that inadvertently taught him what masturbation was, because one time when he was 12, he was like in his room all by himself or whatever, making a weird noise. So his mother was on the other side of the door, like banging, like, "What are you doing in there?" He said, "Nothing." Like, "What did you think I was doing, mother?" And so a chronic masturbator was born.
No. You see, chronic is not really the best or most accurate description of that, though. Hey, Locomotiver. Yeah, we'll block the Belto, then we'll take 2 shields, and then we're just going to win. Yeah.
Yep. Run the
Unless,
ball.
of course, her
run the
last
clock
shield's
out.
Terror Pit.
Run the clock out. That's funny.
Running the clock out. Not a thing in this particular game mode, but you can run the clock out if you're in extreme mode, and that's partially why I don't play extreme mode, because it doesn't actually change all that much. Thank you, Aqua Jolter.
You mean with a game with as janky menu controls as this, that they actually have like a speed chess variant?
They do, and to be perfectly honest, it plays relatively well. It's not the greatest thing ever, but it does function.
Well, that whole time constraint thing does put an interesting stipulation on, like, what is the best move. Like, the best move is to just end your turn because the clock's running.
Yeah. Alright, put Brain Serum into mana, then put down, and then, yeah, we're just gonna go for game. Have Mara Ooze block Aqua Holkus. Then have Aqua Jolter kill her last shield.
And have our second Aqua Jolter pound her face in.
Zap her face, Cloud. Zap her face.
Zap.
Yay, Plasma Coil attack. And so, Widow has successfully been defeated by Rebecca, her niece.
I knew I could do it! Whee!
And that ends the 5 Colors tournament.
Yay.
As we get one more cutscene to close us out.
With your powers combined, I am...
Well done.
Oh.
Yes! Yes!
For
I
some
see
reason, the character that you win with doesn't get to play their winning line. I don't know why.
I'd say that character has already made a statement.
Not so fast. I'm not.
Yeah, seriously, that was a red herring.
That easily. It was only a matter of luck that enabled you sniveling fools to claim victory in the tournament.
Oh, yeah?
No. It is over. See for yourself.
Yeah, look at all the boss monsters that we managed to collect throughout our adventure.
Vivian.
No, I'll not leave until we put you pathetic whelps in your place, once and for all, with one final.
I can see her
All of
nipple
us
poking out of
against all
her
odds.
right bosom.
Yeah, if there was a score to settle, it was settled at the tournament.
Knight's right. It's over. For now, at least.
Oh, you kids are creepy.
Wait, why you little...
And so, because Widow doesn't actually have anything on these kids, they just decide to leave because they're teenagers.
I
Fuck
gave you
this.
Cards. And I have more. Yes, very rares, super rares. You can still defeat them. Yes, one day.
But do you have chocolates?
Unfortunately, she does not have chocolates, but, you know.
Because I bet Earl is really hankering for those chocolates right now.
The tournament is won. The balance is restored. Everyone, take your positions.
Jesus Christ, was that a hand?
Yeah, it's trying to be a hand. I mean, it mostly looks like one.
Seriously, it looks like they just freaking commissioned artists on Newgrounds to make this cutscene. It's the fucking drawing leaves so much to be desired.
We have a very limited production budget, Mr. Cloud.
Guess it's time to duel!
We'll make sure you get advertisements on your videos.
I think they all have a walk cycle there, but they very clearly are walking at different speeds. So, and that unlocks Widow.
Oh,
and now
cool.
we get to go through the credits.
Yeah.
The very, very black and boring credits. I enjoy the fuck out of this game. I do. I have a lot of nostalgia going through it as a teenager, and I still like coming back to it every once in a while. The thing is, as this is the only console game for Duel Masters, it's very, very easy to tell why the fuck this franchise died. Because this game has got the Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories problem of you have a very limited card pool, so what you end up doing is virtually the same, almost regardless of what archetype you want to play with. But the big issue that this game has is, well, yeah, honestly, it is just its limited card pool. You will notice while you're playing through that the production values of this game are extremely low. I don't actually have that big of a problem with that. I think the low production values allow the game to exist and are therefore acceptable. They're not good, they're not great, but they are passable. And I enjoyed going through this. Duel Masters is part of the reason why I am into so many other collectible card games. Like, well, when Duel Masters was having its debut, I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh! I was looking into Magic. I knew what Pokemon was. That I had recently lost Digimon. Like, seriously, I enjoyed the fact that Duel Masters had its moment in the sun. It was a very brief moment, then it should have had a longer moment, because I argue that Duel Masters as a core game state is actually at least better, is either better or easier to understand than a majority of the other card games out there. But that fucking skill ceiling being so low is actually a problem of why it died so quick. I think that Duel Masters deserves an actual chance. Oh, and yes, for those of you wondering where the fuck Shofu and Bullshock Dragon are, we showed off Bullshock Dragon during Rusty's final, and Shofu requires you to win 100 games in the arcade mode in order to unlock him.
Yeah.
There is a bunch of additional grinding that can be had in this game if you want to go do it. I do not recommend doing it because there really isn't a good reason to do it, to be perfectly honest. Once you clear the campaign and the 5 colors tournament, the game is effectively over, and you likely have most of the cards that you want. For this file specifically, I'm still missing 2 additional copies of Holy Awe and all 4 copies of Crystal Lancer. Well, rather, I'm missing 2 copies of Crystal Lancer because the other characters got copies of Crystal Lancers from their playthroughs, but Rebecca never got one. Yeah. I think that if you want to give Duel Masters a shot, this is actually a relatively good way to get introduced to the franchise. Thing is, getting introduced to a dead franchise is a bad idea because then you get attached to it and want more of it, and then there's no more of it to be had. I actually would recommend going into the GBA titles as well, as they are relatively good adaptations of these games, despite their just as limited production budgets. But yeah, now what did you think of this game, Mr. Cloud?
I give it a 6 out of 10.
That's fair, yeah.
See, that limited card pull problem that you mentioned repeatedly is worth overstating. You can optimize really, really quickly in this game, which means that a lot of the times you're going to be doing the same strategy, the same opening, same development cycle, same ending, with very little variation, because the AI also a lot of times is incompetent and doesn't make the right moves all the time.
Well,
So
rather, it's making moves based on it. It's making moves based on the cards it has, as opposed to the archetype it's playing with, which is technically adaptation, but not good adaptation. And the maxing out / getting an optimized deck happens for most of the civilizations, but not for Darkness. Fuck Darkness. Darkness is just so goddamn weak in this game. Yeah.
Right, and on the subject of some card archetypes being better than others, then you will mostly enjoy this game if you're a new player figuring out all of these things that we as the commentators already appreciate to be serious considerations to your approach to the game. Now pair that with laughably bad voice acting and animations at times, yeah, you have yourself a fairly mediocre game at best.
Yeah. The 3 characters that I still have to unlock are Source, Source, Shobu, and Chuck. 2 of whom I've already explained, and Source I don't need to. Be safe, everybody.